y'all, welcome to Race and Crafts. This is the Christmas 2015 Christmas card series. Let me reverse that there so it makes sense. Yeah, so this is card one of my Christmas card series this year. I'm going to be doing a little bit different than I did in previous years. I'm trying to do more die cuts to include, to get better use out of my Silhouette machine. So today my primary image is this, and it is the Glittering Pine from Miss Kate Cuttables. I just went ahead and cut it, and it's 3 layers. And it comes with 3 different sizes, but I picked the biggest because that's all I needed for this card. I'm using a Sizzix Merry Christmas embossing folder, which I used for this. I wanted to do a little bit of a ribbon behind it, but I didn't have a ribbon that was the right color. So I took the scrap from my cardstock layers and ran it through the embossing powder and then covered it with some Ultimate Metallic Gold ink. I'm using some Authentique Rudolph pattern paper. It's a double-sided. And then I have some darker red cardstock. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to do a little bit of stamping to start with, and then I'm going to do a little bit of embossing with my tree, because it's not very glittery. So since it's called, wow, a bunch of those are off. Since it's called the Glittering Pine, I think that it should, that's better, reflect its name and be glittery. Yay, we love glitter. But I'm not going to use glitter, I'm going to use embossing powder. So I'm using this stamped image right here. It is from the Christmas Crafts stamp set that you can find at Hobby Lobby, or you could. Last year they even still had it. I haven't checked this year yet. But any kind of message, whoo, and that, okay. Now I remember why I always use my stamp block, or my Fiskars stamp press for this one. Okay, I'm going to ink it up again, and we'll try it again. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and press it really good and let it sit for 1 second. And we'll check. Everybody looks good. There we go. I'm going to grab my baby wipe here. Sorry about that. And I'm going to move on to my next step, which will be embossing. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out 2 of our layers here of our tree, and it's the white layer and the green layer. And I'm going to grab just a piece of paper here. And I'm going to start with my white layer. And I'm using Ranger's holographic embossing powder here. And I'm going to cover this whole tree with this embossing powder. And I'll just spoon it on. In this one, it doesn't need to necessarily be perfect because it's only going to peek through in a few spots. So, had I been thinking before I cut it, I could have used some sticker paper and been able to skip this step and just use regular glitter. So, we'll go ahead and heat just like that. And I'm going to get that closed up and put away. And we can set that aside. And I'm going to use some Recollections Emerald Tinsel embossing powder for this part. And once again, I'm just going to take my Versamark and cover the whole thing. Okay. And we'll go ahead and sprinkle this all over. Now, I'm going to be a little more careful in getting this guy completely covered because he is the top piece. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and set this aside so I don't end up spilling it everywhere. Okay. See if I can pick this guy back up. I was worried that was going to happen. And then I knocked some of it off. That is just my luck, though. Okay. There we go. Okay, so without putting it down, I'm gonna set that aside. And I'm gonna grab my heat gun and quick set this too. Go. And we'll set that aside as well. And I'm going to come in with my little Swiffer cloth and pick all that extra embossing powder up, which is a great tip for those of you who did not know that. Oops, I did miss melting one part. There we go. But yay, I caught it before I wiped the powder off. Okay, so now I can set our scrap paper aside and we can pull in the rest of our card. And I'm going to start by putting together our little tree here, and I'm going to use some art glitter glue to do that. I love this glue. It's probably my favorite wet glue right now. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and just make sure I get it lined up. And then I'm going to flip it over and kind of push the daylights out of it. Just really kind of smash it down. Like that. And I am missing a little square over here, but that's okay because that doesn't show through our other layer. So I'm going to go ahead and use some art glitter glue again. And I'm using wet adhesive because the dry adhesive will not stick with all of the glittery prettiness that we've used. There we go. And I'm just going to line that up. And once again, I'm going to pick it up because it helps me kind of line everybody up again better. Okay. And I'm going to turn it over and once again kind of squish the daylights out of it. Okay. And we'll see if I can get that to stick with all the glitter, because it's not looking very good. You know what? I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to put something heavy on top of it. I'm going to put this basket on top of it and let it kind of dry for a minute. And while that's working, I'm going to grab my ATG gun and we'll go ahead and get the rest of this card put together. And I'm going to start on the inside. Grab my white card base here. And for a list of supplies and measurements, click the information bar below for a link to my blog. I will tell you what I used and what sizes they are. Particularly for those who don't always use the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch cards. Although you could very well make this in 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. You would just change the sizing of your image. Okay. Oops, before I get that put on, I want to go ahead and put this guy on. And I'm going to use more art glitter glue, because I did emboss this guy. There we go. So I'm just going to run that across kind of the middle. In this piece I did cut down to, I think it's 2 1/8, because you always lose just a little bit of gapping when you emboss. It shrinks up just a little bit. I didn't want to lose, I wanted it to be 2 inches. And I'm just going to trim the excess off, and then we will go ahead. I'm going to add a little bit. Looks like I used the last of that, which is okay. I'm going to add just a little bit of extra ATG there. And add that there. And let's see what size we ended up with. Oop, it did stay 2 1/8. That's okay. I'm cool with that. And like I said, I just ran my little ink pad across there. I found that if you run it at an angle, you get less ink on the background there. Okay, and I'm going to see, yeah, see, it worked out okay. I just put a little bit of pressure down, and after I get this on here, I might go ahead and add a book or something behind it, or on top of it, to give it a little more security. And I'm going to add some foam on this guy. And I'm going to add a piece at the top. I'm not going to put any over where that extra card is, that piece of quote-unquote ribbon. So we'll go ahead and flip it over. And take our backing off. And we'll just push it down. And that's our card for today. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see y'all next time.